Please be seated. Welcome graduating students, esteemed faculty, staff, friends, and family to the MCAD May Class of 2022 commencement ceremony. I'm Sanjeet Sethi, president of the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and I am so pleased to see all of you here at our first spring commencement since May 2019. Before we continue with this important event, and especially an event with such gravity and significance, it's important we take a moment to acknowledge that this ceremony is taking place on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of the Dakota and Anishinaabe people. Wherever you are, you're located on traditional, ancestral, and contemporary lands of Indigenous people. We need to acknowledge that these places have a complex and layered history, and we as a community at MCAD need to be dedicated to creativity and innovation, need to stay committed to ongoing efforts to recognize, support, and advocate for American Indian nations and people. We must also acknowledge that bodies were stolen from their ancestral lands in Africa, uprooted from their culture, sold and used as chattel to build the infrastructure of this country, and this country's present condition was based upon these intergenerational and genocidal traumas. I'm so pleased to have you all with us today, and before I begin my remarks, we have a very special guest joining us today who would like to be one of the first to congratulate the class of 2022 and share this moment with you all. Please join me in welcoming a tireless supporter of the arts, education, and community, Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Thank you. Look at all of you. It is so great to see you. Thank you, President Sethi, for that warm introduction. We are so lucky to have with us as your commencement speaker today, Dr. Maria Rosario Jackson. She literally head of the National Endowment for the Arts, a chair. She could be in any of our 50 states today, but she chose here and she chose this school. And in addition to her history making, where she was confirmed as the first African American and Mexican American to lead the NEA, we think that we're making history here for her because we want her to know that this is the first really nice day we've had in a long time. The blue sky is smiling down on the MCAD graduates, but actually that's not true. That is not true at all, Dr. Jackson. Actually, it's been like this since February here. No tornadoes, no hailstorms, no ice, no snow, none of that really happened. So I want to thank, first of all, the faculty and staff. The success of these students is your success as well. The family members joining you today to enjoy this special moment, to see you get that diploma, that degree. And to the graduating class, congratulations. You have more than earned this degree. I also want to mention the team at Children's Theater Company, who did such a great job of hiding the set of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the musical. We weren't going to tell that to Dr. Jackson, but that really happened on this special occasion. So you're getting your degrees, students, from an incredibly exceptional place. For nearly 140 years, MCAD has prepared creative leaders to use their imagination, innovation, and empathy to make the world a better place. Just look at your alums, graduates, been behind movies like Frozen, comics that inspire people to be heroes in their own communities. You can't step off a bus in the Twin Cities without seeing something that an MCAD graduate has created. And in my own living room, where I have a large mural that was the one and only self-portrait that an MCAD student painted, and I bought it at the MCAD auction, stood over it to make sure no one else would bid on it, well before I was a senator. I think of the alums of this place like George Morrison, one of America's great painters, the modern art movement, whose landscape paintings and wood collages show such reverence for our state, with inspiration drawn from the North Shore and his childhood home and surroundings of Grand Portage. I think of great students like Madison Mead, who used the entrepreneurial skills and the artistic instincts she honed here to join the global fight against human trafficking with Professor Nancy Rice and so many others. It is a testament to the potential that each one of you has to make tangible change with the education you receive at MCAD. It is really important right now because, as you know, you've been living through an unparalleled moment in our nation's history, and art has kept us going through so much of this. A global pandemic, the murder of George Floyd in our state, and a national reckoning on justice, a historic election, an insurrection. You are also graduating when a war in Ukraine is demonstrating both the fragility and the resiliency of democracy in the 21st century, when people in a land so far away are showing us in vibrant blue and yellow what courage and conviction are about as they stand up to the inhuman barbarism of Vladimir Putin. And we stand with democracy in this country. And if you think the arts don't have a role in this, art is about freedom. And the people of Ukraine, I think more successfully than so many others that have been repressed in the past, have been making their case with art. The single man playing his cello in a town square in one of the towns in Ukraine that was bombed on all edges. The postage stamp of the Ukrainian soldiers designed by people in Ukraine standing up to a Russian warship. I won't say what it says on it. The beautiful sunflowers, the symbol of Ukraine. And then, of course, the video of President Zelensky standing out that first day and saying those simple words when everyone had counted them out and counted him out, when he said, "We are here." He actually gave this to me when I was in the last group of senators that visited Kyiv before the war. We are here. That matters in politics, it matters in art, it matters in life. And that's what you have all been saying through all of this difficult time the last few years. Don't count us out, we are here. I know at a lot of graduations you hear people say, and I have said it before, you students are entering the real world. Well, let's be honest, class of 22, you have been living it. You, like your families, encountered tremendous obstacles through all of this. You studied in studios, apart. You studied single in classrooms. You studied in garages and basements and your childhood bedrooms, not exactly your plan. You learned how to use the mute button better than your professors. And certainly better than US senators. And together with grit and determination, you got through it. And I think one of the things I hope you learn from all of this is there are all kinds of obstacles on the path, but sometimes the obstacles turn into the path. You learned about your own strength. You learned about how these obstacles on the path is your path to advocacy, your path to understanding how you can get through this using your creative spirit, your path to long, lifelong friendships that you may not have developed before, your path, a creative one, to generate new ideas and art. No matter what, this path is yours. And as you continue on, you know that you are equipped with something truly valuable, which is an artistic education. And with it, you have both the ability and the responsibility to do what artists have done for 244 years of our nation's history, to lead with innovation, to lead with creativity, and to lead with moral clarity. When we think of George Floyd, we think of the mural, we think of the painting. When we think of those that we lost through this pandemic, we think of all of those flags, remember those? On the mall in front of the White House, on the Capitol Mall. Those were visual representations that made people realize what something truly meant. That's what you do. I love art. I already told you about my living room. My office is covered with paintings on loan from the Weizmann Museum. And during the pandemic, Senator Cornyn and I, he's a conservative Republican from Texas, led the Save Our Stages bill. I can say thank God for country western music in Texas that helped save our music venues and our theaters and, yes, our art museums, and that led to the biggest investment in the arts in the history of America. So for me, that was a moment, a cathartic moment, because I realized that my colleagues, no matter where they were, understood the power of art to bring people together at that time. So I'm going to end with this. In my office, I have a picture hanging on the wall, and it's a drawing of a woman who is holding the planet Earth in her hand, and it's being handed to her by an angel. And the words read, "In my dream, the angel shrugged and said, 'If we fail this time, it will be a failure of imagination.' And then she placed the world gently in the palm of my hand." Well, graduates, we are now placing the world in the palm of your hands. And I know there is absolutely, from what I've seen, no lack of imagination among graduates of MCAD. I know there is no lack of talent or initiative. And I feel clear-eyed optimism about where we are going, because I know that you have the creativity, the ingenuity, and the empathy that it takes to forge a better world. You are the next generations of Minnesota's, America's leaders and artists. And we are going to go from this moment in time where we have been in our 300 million plus silos in our basements and alone to gather together again. It's not going to be easy. You're going to see people you don't actually like that much. But you're going to use that artistic spirit and imagination to try to bring people together. And remember that our nation is committed to an ideal, that you shepherd us through with your work, that what unites us is so much bigger than what divides us. Today we celebrate you, we honor what you've accomplished, and we place the world, painted in bright blue and green, in the palms of your hands. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
All right, carry on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Senator Klobuchar, again. So I, for one, am filled with gratitude for the senator's remarks, for the weather that was skirting definitions of sanity weeks ago, for being with each other right now. I think gratitude at this moment is key. To all of you, graduating students, faculty, staff, friends, and loved ones, it's worth taking a moment to ponder what or who are you grateful for at this moment? I'm going to provide 4 notable groups to honor and to think about as we project a degree of gratitude in addition to our graduating students. The first is to our faculty. They're the ones that have gone above and beyond to instruct, to mentor, to cajole, to demonstrate, critique, push, and support this class. They are worthy and deserving of our admiration. Second, I'd like to thank the members of the MCAD staff who have done everything in their power to support the class of 22 during this time. They are people from the administrators to custodians, to studio coordinators, to learning specialists. As you wind down your time here, graduates, take a moment to express your gratitude to them directly. I know that they would love to hear that, and they are also worthy of a healthy round of applause. Third, and not lost among us, is the need to honor those students who came before you, who helped you through that tough studio assignment, who were your RAs during your first year here. I especially want to recognize the students who graduated over the past 2 years where these ceremonies needed to be held virtually. Today, we celebrate not just your accomplishments, but theirs as well. Fourth, to the parents, partners, spouses, and loved ones who have stood by the graduating students through thick and thin for the class of 22, we applaud you. To the graduating class of May of 22, you're a class that has seen changes in the world all around you. These changes have been both remarkable and daunting, and you've answered these challenges with tremendous dedication to the creative spirit. You've honed skills, experienced failure, seen that indelible spark when something connects. The May class of 22 is a class marked by passion, by tenacity and verve, and the desire to see the world in a different way. Let's talk about work for a moment. You've all been hard at work over these past years, but beyond working, you've also had to be tenacious, adaptable, nimble, resourceful, and agile. Graduates, I'd love for you to take a moment to think back to your very first MCAT experience. Maybe it was a critique with one of your professors or the late night conversation with someone who would go on to become one of your closest friends, or the moment when you made a breakthrough on something that you had been struggling with and were about to give up on and had a profound impact on your work. Over these years, I'm sure that first MCAT moment has been layered with countless other ones. Fast forward to where you are now and take a moment to ask yourself, what do you know now that you didn't when you first arrived at MCAT? How has your understanding of the world around you and your creative practice changed since that initial MCAT moment? And as we start to move this forward, what ways do you want to change the world as you leave MCAT? I have 2 young kids, and sometimes we play a game called Animal Battle to pass the time. And when I say pass the time, it's so they don't clobber each other's brains out. The way it works is I say 2 random animals, for example, giant squid and grizzly bear, and my kids debate about which animal would win. These can get to be very intense conversations, and before you know it, we're at that destination, or we're done unloading the dishes, or whatever. But within that, it's also grown to talk about planets, foods, and even materials. I think this has to do with my 10-year-old being involved in something called Minecraft. Which brings me to the question for all of you, which is something that we've debated about at home. If you could be bamboo or steel, which material would you be? My money is on bamboo. First, there's one thing in these past years have taught me. It's to be more like bamboo. Bamboo is all about flexibility, not being rigid, being able to meld, adapt to a new environment, to new challenges. Don't mistake flexibility for weakness, though. Bamboo is strong. Steel has a tensile strength of about 23,000 pounds per square inch, but bamboo surpasses steel at about 30,000 pounds per square inch. Bamboo grows fast, 3-4 feet in some cases per day. Bamboo has a history that goes back thousands of years, used by everything from baskets to scaffolding, from medicine to furniture. Bamboo is also a positive contributor to our environment. Bamboo produces more than 35% more oxygen than trees. Additionally, bamboo absorbs as much as 12 tons of carbon dioxide per acre. So think about that. Flexibility, strength, growing and learning, and contributing to a broader world around you. My advice when faced with a choice, be more like bamboo. I'd now like to introduce Vice President of Academic Affairs Robert Rancic and Board Chair Greg Heineman. Vice President Rancic, please present the degree candidates.
I would like to introduce Leif Smith, Director of the Master of Arts in Graphic and Web Design, who will be hooding our MA candidates, and Jen Caruso, Interim Chair of Liberal Arts, who will be presenting diplomas. The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts will please stand. Upon recognition of the graduate faculty and the president of the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and as approved by the Board of Trustees, I am privileged to present to you the following candidates for the degree of Master of Arts.
The Board of Trustees, by the authority vested in it by the state of Minnesota, and upon recommendation of the graduate faculty and the president of the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, confers the degree of Master of Arts with all the honors, rights, and responsibilities upon these candidates.
The Master of Arts in Graphic and Web Design. Rachel Abernathy. In absentia. Eve Badran. Barry Carver, also in absentia. Jen Jia Chen. Lacey Sink. Grace Deck. Pamela Hart. Lauren Miggins. Chrissy Nelson. Hallie Blaine Prochnow. Caitlin May Rideout. Sonal Singh. Katie Strange. The Master of Arts in Sustainable Design. Nathaniel Edmonds. Sarah Rose Hummel. Angelina Malizia. Alexander G. Wong. Everyone, please give a warm ovation to MCAD's Master of Arts classes of December 2021 and Spring 2022. I would like to introduce Ellen Mueller, Director of the Master of Fine Arts program, who will be hooding our MFA candidates. The candidates for the degree of Master of Fine Arts will please stand. Bo Young An. Kaylee Reed Burcham. Jordan Brennan. Lucas Carlson. Shoshana Fink. Raed Ganja. Kate Gunther. Mei Ling Kopecki. Dan McAvey. Inyan Nuo. Clementine Sarteau. Danny Schroeder. Anda Tanaka. Jeannie Hing Tran. Yuan Shuang.
Well done.
Please, everyone, give a warm ovation to MCAD's Master of Fine Arts class of 2022. It's now my pleasure to introduce Bo Young An, who will speak on behalf of their graduating class.
Thank you, Robert, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Bo Young An, one of the graduating international MFA candidates. Thank you all for celebrating our achievements on this big day. The biggest thank you is first to my wonderful cohorts who chose me to speak on their behalf. The past 2 years with this group of creatives have been the most exciting and wonderful time, in spite of everything that was and is still happening around us. Thank you for helping cultivate a vibrant creative environment during what seemed like dark times, and for helping me find a home away from home in this rich environment that we've built together. Our limitless gratitude towards our director, faculty, coordinators, staff, mentors, alumni, and the entire MFA and MCAD community who makes MCAD what it is and has supported us through it all. And on the behalf of my cohorts, thank you to our families, partners, and support systems. We could not have done it without you. A big thank you to my parents and sister for their unconditional love and support, and I'm hoping that they're watching this from Korea and Thailand, despite the 12 to 14-hour time difference. 너무너무 감사하고 사랑합니다. And to my partner and Wisconsin family who were able to make it here today, thank you. Now back to my amazing cohorts. Congratulations to all of you unbelievably talented artists. We did it. Deciding to attend grad school mid-2020, when the world around us was basically ending, was a risky decision, but I would say it's pretty on brand for us. The one decision that brought us all risk takers together. Risk takers who weren't afraid to stand up for one another, risk takers who did a 180 with their art practice, risk takers who opened up their vulnerabilities and shared beautiful stories, risk takers who are ready to risk it all in order to become creatives and continue to be creatives despite the 2020 circumstances. And this year, shout out to the scientists, vaccine, and our caring and thoughtful communities who put all of our safeties first, has allowed us to continue to expand on our communities. It has taught us about finding people through shared experiences, laughter, frustration, sadness, and joy, despite being from different backgrounds. Being apart from friends and loved ones during the pandemic really got the introverts wanting to go out this year, and the extroverts were already dressed and halfway out the door. All jokes aside, I'm so grateful for our health and that we can be here in this moment together. And I hope that we continue with this care for our community in mind through whatever this pandemic still has in store for us. And to acknowledge the good things, we have to acknowledge the hardships. We lost loved ones, went through the sickness of body, mind, and heart, had tough conversations, made works on the topics of those tough conversations, and I know many of us wanted to give up at least 30 different points in our program. But we are a strong group of people, and how we've uplifted and supported each other through the past 2 years is such a beautiful thing to be a part of in itself. And despite the turbulence, there was also a lot of excitement. Turbulent excitement is how I describe the thesis process, and I think it sums up our whole MFA experience pretty well. The class of 2022 has the collective hope and wish for love, grace, and understanding. We made mistakes together, learned together, and had more than a few rant sessions together. And as society continues to open up and the world we live in and become involved in becomes more diverse each day, I see that we are constantly giving access to the generous communities that we have not been a part of due to different life circumstances. What did it mean to be a creative in this time in history, in the spaces that we took up and continue to take up? Our cohort were all in for the discovery, going in blind, and we came out still relatively okay. Actually, a lot of us surprisingly came out with rose-colored glasses. There will always be so much work to do, but the optimist in me believes in this rainbow and sunshine future. It will take a lot of work that we may not want to do, are too tired to do, or nor do we, especially people of color, are obligated to do. But I know as someone who came to the United States at the apex of a charged cultural context of societal change, there was so much generosity, grace, and willingness to help me navigate through it all from my newfound community in the Midwest. This support was made possible through the active leadership and advocates for the communities in Minneapolis, such as MCAD's vision of radical diversity and implementation of spaces such as Design Leadership Institute, having professors of colors and white professors actively engage in conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusivity, having mentors, hi Sam, who were open to learning, understanding, and helping us cultivate important stories to be told authentically, and of course, having a solid foundation of cohorts through the 2 years through it all. Going forward, we must continue to do this together. We are incredible artists who are finding our place as makers, creators, and our strength in these roles. But above it all, we are even more incredible people with the biggest hearts. And this is where I cry. I am honored and grateful to have had my MFA experience with you, Jordan, Shoshana, Jeannie, Dan, Yin Yin, Clementine, Yuan, Kate, Anda, Raid, Mei-Ling, Danny, Kaylee, and Lucas. I have no doubt that we will keep in touch, and I'm so excited to see how we all grow. I love you, my wonderfully brilliant cohorts. And because no one likes a teary or lengthy speech, I will leave my speech to end right here with a sort of ellipses, because the story that each of us is telling is never truly over. So you'll see the class of 2022 around, taking risks as we always have been doing. Thank you and 감사합니다.
I would like to introduce you to the faculty who assist in presenting the diplomas to our BFA candidates. Arlene Berth, Interim Chair, Arts Entrepreneurship. Howard Quidnow, Chair, Fine Arts Department. Stevie Rexroth, Chair, Media Arts. And Barb Scholes, Professor, Design Department. The candidates for Bachelor of Fine Arts will please stand. Upon recommendation of the faculty and the president of the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and as approved by the Board of Trustees, I am privileged to present to you the following candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Fine Arts.
The Board of Trustees, by the authority vested in it by the state of Minnesota, and upon the recommendation of the faculty and the president of the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, confers the degree of Bachelor of Fine Arts with all of the honors, rights, and responsibilities upon these candidates.
Ava Aldrett. Brittany Anderson. Jack Armstrong. Angela Aurora Aragin. Deanna Isabella Ayala. Margaret Bareth Lane. Logan Beecher. Amelia Jane Bell. Axel Bennett. Connor Charles Benson. Kayla Borntrager. Anna Brock. Remy Burke. Caitlin Crane. Franny Love. Colleen Chan. Yumi Koi. Brian Cuccinelli. Samantha Dower. Zoe A. Dirks. Nicholas Damrong Watanatkul. Madeline Duffy. Crystal DeYoung. Brianne Edgar. Emily Eicher. Galen Elliott. Madeline Emerson. Calvin Evans. Joe French. Sabrina Diane Gessert. Colin Givens. Casey Grangs. Avery Hall. Sophia Hansen. Arlo Hasman. Royce Hegarty. Anna Henderson. Megan Jane Jerpy. James Hogarth in absentia. Patrick Hutchison. Ari Iguchi. Ava Imolt. Reed Moraine Ross. Elijah Jackson. Haley Johnson. Caitlin Johnson. Peyton Juno. MJ. Theodore Kidd. Tony Leylon, in absentia. Megan Levitt. Caitlin Lee. Hyan Lee. Jay Lidberg. Jen Feng Lin. Sejumbo Liu. Dylan Scott Ludston. Everyone, please join me in a warm ovation for the Bachelor of Science class of 2022. It is now my pleasure to introduce Simone Tincher-Lewis, who will speak on behalf of their graduating class.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you, students and faculty that nominated me to speak on your behalf of the class of 2022. Aloha kako anui loa, o nuukia heona poahi hilo ia, ku'u inoa e komomai. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simone Alexa Tincher-Lewis, and I'm graduating with a drawing and painting major and a teaching artist minor. There are many great artists, masters of art, whose accomplishments we as creatives can strive to emulate. I already feel like an old master when I compare my work now to the work of my friends. I still have the cardboard sculptures from 3D and my first palette knife painting and that infuriating bouncing ball animation I had to make in Maya. And don't even get me started on the art that I made in middle school. That should be locked away. If I had a time machine, I'd make sure I never created a DeviantArt or a Tumblr for that matter. Noho e Hawaii. Growing up in a small town in Hawaii, I never thought I'd be able to study art in the way MCAD has allowed me to. I hope whether you are from a small town like me or a city, you have time to reflect on how far you have all come. I'm so grateful for these opportunities to excel beyond what I thought I was capable of as an artist. Not only do we have skills to be proud of, but confidence in our new professions. Whether your work is traditional or new media, we shall contend with artistic ancestors that came before us and are destined to become one day. And no matter what you do next, I hope you carry with you the love for creating that brought you here. I don't think I'm any less scared of the world than I was when I got here. Many of us are young and have so much time to figure out what we will do, who we will become, and where we want to go. We will fail. I know I have failed and messed up already. There are so many drawings and paintings I have made just for exploration. I have murals that I've painted that I'm okay with never seeing the light of day again. I'm sure we all know the feeling of looking back with what if. Olelo no eau, a ohe pu'u kie ke ho'a'o ia e pi'i. No problem is too great when one tries hard to solve it. Risk it all. I encourage you to try again and start over. Don't live in fear of what you might not be able to do, then regret what you didn't do. We have time to try again and fail again. No matter where you find yourself, if you're ready to work hard and ask for help, everything will be okay. If you need encouragement in your journey, please find it in your teachers and your fellow classmates. If you need any fashion advice, I'm sure we can help with that too. I know each and every one of us are incredible because we not only made it to this day, but in spite of a pandemic, protests, politics, and 3 MCAD presidents. Art is not always about making or the final product. We have learned a philosophy and a new way to see the world. I hope you all take your skills, passion, and never stop learning. Mahalo nui loa, malama pono. Thank you, everyone. I'm so proud of us and wish you all the best in love and life.
So beautiful. Thank you. I really do want to offer another round of applause for both of our incredible student speakers today. There's inspiration, hope, tenacity, and an incredible amount of spirit in those voices. And I think I'm so pleased to have them precede our commencement speaker today. I've said many times that MCAD is dedicated to educating the next generation of creative cultural leaders. We see this in the work of all of us, our faculty, our students, our alumni, and our community. We also see this in the idea embodied by exceptional individuals throughout the world. Our commencement speaker and honorary doctorate degree recipient is one of those people. Dr. Maria Rosario Jackson is one of us. She's dedicated, tireless, an empathic creative cultural leader who embodies the DNA of MCAD through and through. She is a tireless advocate for equity, creativity, and community. When I first met Maria, I was struck by the profound way she thinks about the arts as a complex form of intimate systems and relationships. She's a believer in how culture has the power to build communities, how culture can build relationships, how they can build intergenerational relationships, and how they can connect our aspirations with our past. For more than 25 years, Dr. Jackson's work has focused on understanding and elevating arts and culture and design as critical elements of healthy communities. Her work blends social science and arts and humanities-based approaches to comprehensive community revitalization, systems change, the dynamics of race and ethnicity, and the roles of arts and culture in communities. After confirmation by the U.S. Senate in December 2021, Dr. Jackson became the 13th chair of the National Endowment for the Arts in January 2022. With his historic appointment, Dr. Jackson is the nation's first NEA chair to be an African-American and Mexican-American woman. Dr. Jackson has a long career in strategic planning, policy research, and evaluation with philanthropy, government, and nonprofit organizations. She has served as an advisor on philanthropic programs and investments at national, regional, and local foundations. Dr. Jackson is currently on leave from the Arizona State University, where she is a tenured institute professor at the Herberger Institute of Design and the Arts. She has led the Studio for Creativity, Place in Equitable Communities, and has held an appointment at the Watts College of Public Service and Community Solutions. For almost 10 years, she also served as a senior advisor for arts and culture and strategic learning, research and evaluation at the Kresge Foundation. For 18 years, Dr. Jackson has worked at the Urban Institute, a Washington, D.C.-based national public policy research organization. While there, she was a senior policy research associate with the Metropolitan Housing and Communities Policy Center and the founding director of the Urban Institute's Culture, Creativity, and Communities program. Dr. Jackson was appointed to the National Council on the Arts by President Barack Obama in 2012, where she served until becoming chair of the NEA. Dr. Jackson was co-chair of the County of Los Angeles Cultural Equity and Inclusion Initiative, and most recently served on advisory boards from the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage, the Equity Center at the University of Virginia, the Strong, Prosperous, and Resilient Communities Challenge, and the LA Commons, an arts intermediary organization focused on bridging communities through stories and creative practice. She served on the board of directors at the Performing Arts Center of Los Angeles County, the Association of Arts Administration Educators, and the Alliance for California Traditional Arts. A graduate of the University of California, in Los Angeles with a doctorate in urban planning. Dr. Jackson holds a Master's of Public Administration degree from the University of Southern California. Dr. Jackson grew up in southern Los Angeles and as a child spent summers in her mother's hometown of Mexico City and visited her father's home state of Ohio. Her love of the arts stems from her parents, who encouraged Dr. Jackson and her brother to learn about the richness of their cultures and through the arts. Please join me in welcoming this year's commencement speaker, dear friend, honorary doctorate awardee, Dr. Maria Rosario Jackson.
So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So to President Sethi, to the members of the Board of Trustees, to the esteemed faculty and staff of MCAD, thank you for including me in this beautiful day. To Senator Klobuchar, thank you for the leadership and inspiration. To the parents, family, and loved ones of our graduates, thank you for all you've done to make this day possible. And to the class of 2022, to the graduates of 2022, I'm so honored to be a part of your celebration. It really is a privilege to stand before you and to see evidence that despite the many challenges that we face as a society, our future is bright. And today I'm encouraged. And I'm encouraged because we're here together in person after not being able to do that for a very long time. And even with our masks and the strains of our time, there's joy in this room. There's hope in this room. There's love and imagination and power in this room. We're stepping into a new season. You graduates are certainly stepping into a new season. And again, I'm encouraged as you step into this new era, you bring with you not only your talents and the strong conceptual and technical skills that you've acquired and honed here, you're also bringing what I know through your years of MCAD. You've experienced a community of care and you've been part of a community of care. And that's something that you're also bringing on your journey. And this is evident, especially in the last 2 years, as we've weathered a pandemic, as you've been proximate to some of the worst abuses of power and some of the most inspiring demonstrations of our commitment to be better and do better. And I'm encouraged because your commitment to design and the arts through your experience of MCAD is part of what I think the world needs so desperately right now. So as President Sethi said, my commitment to the arts started at home, and it started early. And as the daughter of an African-American man that experienced Jim Crow segregation and a Mexican immigrant woman who were both fiercely proud of their cultures, they looked to the arts to teach my brother and me where we came from and how valuable they were and we were. So my parents were not wealthy. They didn't come from a family of wealth. My father was, he worked for the US Postal Service, and my mother worked for the Los Angeles Unified School District. And while they didn't have a lot of financial wealth, there was a different kind of wealth that existed and had been passed on. And that wealth had to do with knowing our value and knowing the value of those that came before us. And at the time when my brother and I were coming up, what is true is that they were concerned that what we would learn as Black and brown children wouldn't do justice to what they knew we needed to know And they turned to artists and to the arts to fill that gap. They wanted us to understand that we had connection to people who were brilliant, to people who were capable of genius, and that the work of artists was actually what allowed us to persist over generations, to be resilient, to be strong, to continue to show up with our full humanity. So it was incredibly important that the arts were part of our daily lived experience, that they were part of what my parents sought out. And I knew this early on as I progressed in my life and my career, my collegiate experience. I selected fields that weren't the arts, but the arts always felt very central to what I was interested in doing. And what I was interested in doing was equipping myself to be in a place to improve communities, to create opportunity, to do some of the repair that has to happen when there has been historic harm. So early in my career, President Sethi said, urban planning is one of my root fields. And when I was very early in my career, I was very still interested in arts and culture, which isn't something that urban planners typically pay attention to that much. It's changing a bit, but it hasn't always been that way. And often, I was discouraged, actually, from the two things that I knew in my core were very important. And one was the notion that as we addressed urban issues and issues in rural communities as well, that a holistic, comprehensive approach is important, right? So that is, if you care about education, you probably need to care about jobs. If you care about jobs, you probably need to care about health. If you care about housing, all of these things are interconnected. All of these things that make for viable communities have connection. And I always have believed that the arts and culture activities that should be in neighborhoods and what artists have to offer, that this too is important alongside these other concerns and sometimes woven in with these community concerns. And often I had very well-intended colleagues say, you care about addressing racism, you care about addressing inequity, why are you doing this arts and culture stuff? Like I was off mission. And I knew in my core that I wasn't. And it took a while for me to gather the words to express why I felt this way in a way that people could understand quickly. And what I landed on over the years was that if you look around the world and throughout the ages, in strategies to disempower, the first thing that is tampered with is one's ability to make sense of the world on your own terms, the ability to dream, to imagine, to have dominion over your own story, which are all the things that we do through the arts. So if it is so important that it has to be tampered with in order to oppress or disempower, how do we not think of it as central to lifting up communities, to becoming the kind of society that we say that we aspire to be? So with that, I continued with my stubbornness and my dedication to centering our work towards more just and equitable communities with this work that is infused with arts and culture. So from the perch of the National Endowment for the Arts, some of the ideas that I'm interested in advancing are, one is the notion of an artful life, that we should all have artful lives, that the arts aren't only about attendance at events or at performances or the consumption of art product. That for sure is important without question, but that there are other ways that we must integrate arts and culture into our daily lived experience. And this has to do with the role of artists and how we must understand them as much more expansive than what has typically been the case. I'm interested in understanding how what I think of as our civic infrastructure, that is the set of relationships and arrangements that we rely on to care for each other, how those can be infused with art. How can those be shaped by artists and designers? How can they be shaped by arts organizations and culture bearers? So it's these intersections that I'm so committed to advancing. And what is really exciting on this day as I see you graduate is that you are exactly the kinds of dedicated people that we need to advance this kind of vision. The ability to unleash the power of the arts and the gifts that you have to deliver is part of our work. When I think of the role that I'm in right now, how do we create the avenues for you to be able to do that? So as I think about what is it that I want to tell you on this particular day that is so important, I want to draw from my own story as well as share some of the things that I have been lucky enough to hear from mentors and dear friends. And one thing is that it's going to be important for you to find your compass, right? That internal thing that makes you understand what your work in the world is, to get clear about that. To pay attention to what's holding your attention, to what makes you lose track of time, to what feels right and satisfying for you and what you're willing to work for. And I'm sure that you've had a taste of that here already. But it's important to stay connected to that, to know what your work is, not what your job is, but what your work is, what it is that's deep inside. I think another thing is to commit to choosing joy. Find joy even in uncertainty and even in difficult times. And I know for some of you may know exactly what you're going to do next. And others of you may not quite know yet. If there's a way to find joy in that uncertainty, if there's a way to find joy in that space of possibility, to find that. Another idea is that it's okay to be uncomfortable for a little while. I'm often at my best when I'm a little bit uncomfortable because I'm summoned to stretch. I'm summoned to understand something from a different perspective or attempt to find connection in ways that maybe I didn't imagine. So be okay with being uncomfortable for a little while. Another idea is to cultivate a culture of possibility. And I will say for me, working at this intersection of arts and comprehensive community development and planning, the jobs related to that are not always obvious or plentiful. And it's better now than it was 20, 30 years ago. When I was teaching, I often would be in a situation where students would get excited about the possibility of working at the intersection of arts and health, or arts and housing, or arts and community development. And they would ask me, how can I get a job doing that? And sure, there are some, but it's still not always the norm. And what I would say to them, again, if you know what that compass is telling you, you'll have the ability to see an opportunity and interpret it, perhaps interpret it differently, so that you can do your work. So being open to not seeing the thing that is immediately obvious, but understanding that there might be an opportunity that is right for you, it's a skill to build. The other skill to build that's related to this is recognition that you might have to invent the job that you want to inhabit or invent the opportunity that you need to do your work. So this culture of possibility is something that I think is really core. Another idea is to find your tribe. That is the people who are going to support you in the work that is at your core. And sometimes you reach back generations to find your tribe. Your tribe sometimes is comprised of people who are your contemporaries, but sometimes it's elders or people that came long before us. If you're able to pull them into the room with you when you have to do something that requires courage, do that. It'll carry you through. Lastly, I'll say, have fun, laugh, be generous, be grateful, dream, have the courage to follow your imagination, tell your truth, choose your battles, be aware of your context and adapt as you need to, but don't be distracted by naysayers and noise. Tap into your core and do you. In closing, I want to say that it's an honor to be here at MCAD, specifically as I've come to understand what your experience has been as students. And I'm so heartened that you've been educated to be creative problem solvers, to be listeners and collaborators. You've been taught to learn from failure, to reflect, to be responsible, to have empathy. You've been taught to navigate and be nimble, to be insightful and impactful, and to be vulnerable and visionary. So as you step forward and continue your journey, know that you are prepared to deliver your gifts. Class of 2022, I am so excited for you. I am so proud of you, and I can't wait to see what you will do in the world. Congratulations.
That's beautiful. I'm going to have you stand over here. And I'm going to grab this.
So this is something we haven't done for a long time, which is confer an honorary doctorate degree on somebody. It's a tradition that goes back actually several decades at MCAD. Some very famous people have received this degree. And then it fell asleep for some reason. And we did this last year, thanks to Sanjeet's prodding and initiation, to get this back into the mix again. But we had to do it virtually. But this year we had this amazing leader in human that we presented to live and in color. So with that, we'll confer the Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters degree, and I'll say some official words to make this real, and we'll go from there. So, in recognition of her remarkable accomplishments and service to the broader field, the MCAD Board of Trustees, by the authority vested in it by the state of Minnesota and the North Central Association of Colleges and Schools, confers the honorary degree of Doctor of Humane Letters with full rights, honors, and privileges upon Dr. Jackson for embodying the ideals of creative cultural leadership.
Yeah, there's that. So, Dr. Jackson, again. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Professor Emeritus Jerry Allen on behalf of the Alumni Association, who gets the thrill of presenting the Alumni Achievement Award. Jerry?
Hey, Jerry, I'm going to Scotland. My students have been asked to make their presentation before their National Tourist Board. Hey, Jerry, Edelman's NYC asked if my students would be interested in collaborating pro bono on some of their projects. You know, they're the largest public relations firm in the world. Women's International Peace and Freedom League doubted us. They're centered in the United Nations. After the students made their first presentation to their board, they were invited to make their presentations to their national and international board. Year after year, class after class, this person has brought MCAD the highest professional opportunities for the students, such as General Mills, the American Heart Association, the Auschwitz Foundation. This person also embodies the Entrepreneurial Studies program, which caused the students the opportunity to integrate arts, science, and business, working with real clients on real projects with real outcomes. This person's already in the Advertising Hall of Fame. She could teach and work any place that she wanted to, but she's focused her talents for decades to bring the professional acumen to them. In fact, Martin Williams offered their high-tech presentation room for the students to make a pitch of their personal goals before 25 of their top advertising executives. Today, many of those students are now sitting on the other side of the table across the country. This person also demonstrates something that everybody in this auditorium knows, certainly my colleagues and the people in the first 8 rows here. Those who can do. Those who teach do more. They change people's lives. It is my indeed great honor to present MCAD's Alumni Lifetime Achievement Award to Nancy Rice. Go get 'em. Well deserved.
He said, "Go get him." Something he said to me almost every day as my chair. Wow, these are some hard acts to follow. Some incredible speeches from our students and from our illustrious commencement speaker. Being up here, being able to speak to you today is an incredible honor, and I'm very grateful. It seems like there's a theme of grateful that's gone through this whole room today. Yet for me, it feels really strange to be standing up here alone, being the sole recipient of such recognition. Everything I've been credited with having done, or am doing now, has been totally the result of team effort. Animators, comic artists, designers, editors, filmmakers, illustrators, musicians, photographers, as well as what I've always considered the first responders on the creative line, brilliant strategists and amazing writers. All work together to create and convince sometimes reluctant colleagues and clients to try something new. I'm very fortunate to have had a vision, a backbone, incredible timing to be totally present to a moment when the time is right to act on something, to pull unique individuals together and to say yes to ideas in which I see incredible possibilities. Now, I wager you think those first remarks have been all about my time in the advertising business, working with great partners and equally great clients. Actually, I've been talking about my time here at MCAD as an educator. Just add the word student to the front of all those partners, student animators, student comic artists, student designers, student illustrators, student filmmakers. You get the idea. Then go back to the beginning and add the word faculty after those same words: animation faculty, comic faculty, design faculty, film faculty. Again, you get the idea. Our MCAD faculty has done an incredible job training our students, as well as encourage them to try something new, my classes. And those I initiated years ago at MCAD to draw additional adjunct faculty into the school here over the years. When asked how being an educator at MCAD differs from being a creative, an art director, a creative director, an agency owner, and advertising, simple. It isn't. It doesn't. It isn't different. I teach the way I learn. How? By inviting students, no matter their year in study or what they're studying, to sit at the big table, to work with clients with real business challenges as part of my classes, and to engage very generous one-on-one mentors from the business community all along the way. So there's that for full circle back to my professional world and my career in advertising. Who are those students? Many of them are sitting here. They're undergrads from all majors. They bring what they're learning to what what they already know and what they've already experienced in life to the table. What's very different is the absolute fun of putting together an entirely new agency every 17 weeks, and then going out and convincing a client to come on into the class, give us a challenge, and knowing that I perhaps have never met any of the students that are going to be in that class. And then helping these student teams, giving the confidence that there's an opportunity and the place at that big table, not only in their very near future or more distant future, but right now. I challenge every one of you here in the audience today, and those who are listening and watching online, to embrace these young creative minds. Bring them in, sit them at that big table of yours. They're ready, they're hungry, and then bring it on. To the graduating students, I say, carpe diem, it's your time. I'd like to close with a quote from Michelle Schwarzbauer, MCAD alum and former student of mine and of yours, with a quote, and I use this all the time in my classes, and I tell her so too. If you see everything as an opportunity, there it is. Thank you.
Congratulations, Nancy. Well deserved. That's great. This is a good moment. We present 7 awards this year, and I'll give you a preamble, and then I'll invite the recipients to come on up, and we'll either bump fists or we'll do whatever we got to do here. So, this year, 7 Ethel, Morrison, Vanderlip Awards will be given to graduating students who have exhibited outstanding creative ability. The pool of applicants also includes December 2021 graduates. In 1923, with income from an endowment fund established by Ethel Morrison Vanderlip, MCAD established the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Scholarship. This award was to be given to students who completed their formal training and displayed high personal character, diligence, and application in work and artistic ability of exceptional promise. An award of $2,500 will be given to one undergraduate from design, fine arts, media arts, and the arts entrepreneur. One to a graduate from the MFA program, one from the MA in Sustainable Design program, and one from the MA in Graphic and Web Design program. It is our hope that the recipients of these awards will use the scholarships to travel, study, and enhance their professional careers. The task of selecting these students to receive these awards from such a strong and distinctive class of artists and designers was difficult. Among the criteria considered were originality of ideas, imaginative problem solving, and skillful execution. So winners, as I mentioned earlier, when I read your name, come on up, and I've got your award for you. So this year's recipient of the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Award in the MFA program is Anda Tanaka. This is dramatic, isn't it? Huh? This year's recipient of the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Award in the MA of Sustainable Design program is Sarah Rose Hummel. This year's recipient of the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Award in the MA of Graphic and Web Design program is Grace Deck, who's unable to join us today, but we'll give her a warm round of applause. This year's recipient of the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Award in Fine Arts is Sophie Hansen. This year's recipient of the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Award in Media Arts is Erin Panaligon. This year's recipient of the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Award in Design is Eri Iguchi. This year's recipient of the Ethel Morrison Vanderlip Award in Arts, Entrepreneurship, and Product Design is Madison Mead. I was looking left when I should have been looking right. Madison surprised me. So let's give these recipients a warm round of applause.
How's everyone doing? Okay. Congratulations, graduates. I want to thank you all and your family and friends for attending our May 2022 ceremony today. Please join us in the commencement exhibition and reception tent in the main building. For the media arts screening, it'll take place in Auditorium 150 following the ceremony. For our audience only, please remain seated until all graduates and participants have recessed. Everyone, it's my pleasure to present to you MCAD's class of 2022.